What if I told you there's a power inside you right now, waiting to take the reins? A version of you that fears nothing, bows to no limit, transforms every stumble into a leap forward. That's your other self, my friend. And it's the secret to becoming unstoppable. For years, I wandered, chasing shadows of success, ducking the sting of failure, trapped by my own doubts. Then, one bitter night in 1927, pacing endlessly around a lonely schoolhouse in West Virginia, I met it my other self. It turned my life upside down, and for the better. Today, I'm here to hand you the map, to find yours. This isn't about luck, or some rare gift. It's about awakening a force that's been with you all along, begging you to claim it. Let us begin. Me tell you something straight from the heart. Your other self isn't some stranger lurking in the shadows. It's you, raw and real, stripped bare of fear, lit up with faith. It's that quiet voice in the storm whispering, keep going, when every fiber of your being screams, quit. I know it well. It's the force that yanked me out of poverty's grip in West Virginia, where I stood broke and broken on a cold Christmas Eve in 1923, and drove me to publish the philosophy that became my life's work. That's no fairy tale. It's the truth of what lies within you, waiting to be unleashed. Here's the deeper truth. Two entities wrestle inside you every day. One's a coward, ruled by fear, fear of failure, fear of what folks might say, fear of the next punch life lands. That one keeps you soft, timid, stuck in the mud, flinching at every jab the world throws your way. It's the voice that says, take it easy, or, you can't do this. Then there's the other, the real you, fueled by faith, bold as brass, unshakable and unstoppable. That's your other self. It doesn't cower, it commands. It doesn't bend, it builds. When I hid in terror after a friend's murder, fear had me in its claws, until faith stepped in and turned me around. You've got that same power, my friend, if you'll just reach for it. The world didn't change when I found my other self. I did. That's the secret no one tells you. It's not the world that needs to shift. It's you. I stopped blaming, stopped waiting, stopped asking for permission. And I started moving. With purpose. With fire. With certainty. You've got that in you too. Don't tell me you don't feel it. That tug deep down. That whisper when everything's quiet. That's your other self calling. It's the part of you that doesn't flinch, doesn't fold, doesn't quit. It dares. It builds. It walks through fear like it's fog. Back then, I had nothing. No money. No fame. No plan. But I had one thing left: belief. Not in the world, not in luck. In me. That was enough. It always is. Let me be clear, this isn't about fake confidence. It's not about yelling affirmations in the mirror. It's about remembering who you are and letting that person drive. Right now, you've got voices in your head. One says you're not ready. The other says, let's go. Choose. Every time you choose fear, it gets stronger. Every time you choose courage, your other self wakes up. A little more, a little louder, till it takes over. That's what happened to me. And that's what can happen to you. But you have to decide. You've got to stop waiting for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. You've got to move. Even when you're scared. Especially when you're scared. That's how you find your edge. That's how you step into who you really are. It won't feel easy. It's not supposed to. You're not meant to be comfortable. You're meant to grow. Pressure creates diamonds. So embrace it. Because your other self, it only shows up under pressure. It's the part of you that rises when the world expects you to fall. That's how I wrote Think and Grow Rich. Not from comfort, but from desperation, from the edge of failure, from nights I couldn't sleep because I knew there had to be more, and there was. But I had to go first. I had to become the man worthy of it, and so do you. I didn't wait for motivation, I moved without it. Motivation comes later. Action comes first. Every morning I woke up broke, but I didn't act like it. I walked like a man with a mission, I spoke like someone who had something to say. Because I did. So do you. But you've got to stop hiding it. You've got to stop shrinking. You were not built to stay small. Your other self is tired of waiting. Tired of you doubting. Tired of you asking for signs. The only sign you need is this moment, right now. Because here's what I know. Fear never leaves. It just gets quieter when faith gets louder. You build faith like a muscle. Every time you act in spite of fear, it grows. Until one day, fear whispers. And you don't even listen, because your other self is already speaking. Louder, clearer. You walk into rooms differently. You stop apologizing for taking up space. You stop explaining your dreams to people who never had any. You move different. You become undeniable. That's what happened to me. People said I was crazy, wasting my time, writing a book no one asked for. They laughed, ignored me, dismissed me, but I kept going. Why? Because I wasn't writing for them. I was writing for the person I used to be, the one lost in doubt, crushed by fear, hoping anyone would believe in him. Well, he did. That's why I'm here now. For you. Because I know what it's like to want to quit. I know the weight of staying small, and I know what happens when you rise. When you stop asking the world who you are, and you start telling it. That's the switch, from fear to faith, from self-doubt to self-command, from dreamer to doer, from victim to force of nature. That's your other self. And once you meet them, you'll never go back. You won't even recognize the person you used to be. Let me tell you something real. You don't find your other self by thinking. You find it by doing. Every bold move you make, that's it speaking. Every time you say yes to growth, that's it rising. You don't wake up one day transformed. You build that transformation. Brick by brick. Decision by decision. There's no shortcut. Only direction. Forward. That's where your power lives. Not in your past. Not in your mistakes. In what you choose next. Every day you have two options. Be the version of you that hides. Or the one that hunts. That's the truth. One survives. The other creates. One waits for life to happen. The other makes it happen. Your other self doesn't wait for approval. It doesn't seek comfort. It seeks meaning. It seeks purpose. It seeks results. It's the one that gets up when you've been knocked down 10 times. It's the one that looks at fear and says, "You don't run this." I remember being broke. No job, no status, no plan. But I had fire, and that was enough. I poured it into every word I wrote, every conversation I had, every room I entered. I didn't walk in asking for opportunities. I walked in like I was one. That's what belief does. It changes how you move. It changes what you attract. It changes who you are. Because when you lead with courage, the world notices. Doors start opening. People start listening. Opportunities start forming. Because the world changes. But because you did. You don't get what you want. You get what you become. You want abundance? Become someone who creates it. You want respect? Become someone who earns it without asking. You want freedom? Start acting like someone who deserves it. And no more waiting. And no more blaming. And no more hiding behind your story. You're not your past. You're not your pain. You're not your fear. You are what you decide to become next. And your other self, it's already decided. Now it's your move. You want to wake up your other self? Then stop sleeping on your power. Stop scrolling. Stop numbing. Stop waiting for clarity before you move. Clarity comes after action, not before. You don't need a plan. You need a decision. One that says, "I'm done living half alive." One that says, "I'm done chasing comfort." You want to flip the switch? Start by doing what scares you. The conversation, the project, the risk, the thing that makes your heart pound. That's the path. Your other self lives on the edge of that fear. And every time you step into it, you take another piece of that power back. Wake up earlier, because it's trendy, but because winners don't wait for permission. They take the hours others waste. Speak up. Not to impress, but because your truth has weight, and the world needs to hear it. Say no more often. Not out of arrogance, but out of focus. You can't say yes to greatness while saying yes to distractions. Cut the noise, the opinions, the doubt. Create your own rhythm, your own standard, and then live up to it every day. Discipline is how your other self shows up. It's not sexy, but it's powerful. It's the alarm clock you don't snooze, the reps you don't skip, the promises you keep to yourself when no one's watching. That's how trust is built, and trust, that's the foundation of transformation. Your other self won't rise if you keep breaking your own word. You've got to become someone you believe, not someone who hopes. Hope is passive. Belief is bold. Belief moves, even when it's tired, even when it's scared, especially then. That's the key. When it gets hard, don't back down, lean in. That's where your other self waits, not in comfort. In the climb, let me talk to the part of you that's barely hanging on, the part that's tired, worn out, quietly wondering if all this effort even matters. It does. God, it does. You don't see it yet, but something is building inside you. Every time you push through the doubt, every time you get up after the fall, every time you whisper, keep going, when no one's clapping. That's your other self getting louder, stronger, more real. You think strength comes from success? No. It comes from the struggle before it. It's forged in the fire, not the spotlight. It's built in silence, when the world isn't watching, when you've got every reason to quit, but you don't. That's when you become dangerous. That's when the world starts to feel your weight. I remember those nights. Cold, hungry, no path, no plan, just faith and fear, lots of fear, but I kept walking, kept writing, kept believing in something no one could see, because that's how every revolution starts, quietly, internally. You flip a switch, and everything changes. Not outside, inside. You stop waiting for evidence. You become the evidence. You stop asking, what if I fail? You start asking, what if I don't try? That shift, that's the moment everything turns. That's when your other self walks in, and you'll know it. Because fear gets quieter, your posture changes, your eyes sharpen, you stop reacting and start creating. You stop surviving and start leading. And when the world finally sees you, they'll think it happened overnight, but you'll know better. You'll remember the nights you cried and kept going. You'll remember the mornings you got up when it made no sense. You'll remember the work no one saw. That's where greatness is born, not in applause, but in isolation. In commitment. In becoming the version of you that you were always meant to be. The one who doesn't fold, doesn't flinch, doesn't fear, just moves.